I was that guy. I had 50,000 followers on Instagram. To the outsider looking in, it looked like my art career was really taking off. I was going places, my YouTube channel was growing. It seemed like everything was perfect, except I was dead broke. I'll never forget the month in 2016. I had recently gotten married and I was unable to pay my portion of the rent that month. And this was a life-changing moment for me as a business person and also for me just as a man, to have this responsibility placed on me to be in this committed relationship. I'm now divorced since then. We'll talk about that another day. But for me, it was just such a learning lesson and this weight on my shoulder to either figure out how I was going to make money as an artist or quit. I had two choices, and ever since then I've been focused on learning as much as I can about business and going from that poor artist to someone who has all the tools to be a rich, successful artist. And you can define rich however you want. That can be monetarily, that can be having enough money to just have your freedom. I don't care what you call it. No one wants to be poor. Everyone wants to be rich in some way, either money or life. So today we're going to talk about 4 things that I've learned along this journey that I want everyone to take with them and apply to their artist career, their creative journey from the start. So briefly, to introduce myself, my name is Evan Ramft. I've been using social media as a way to build my career as well as the businesses of others since 2015, and this channel is dedicated to creative people looking to explore ideas, make money, and live a better life. Also, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. We'll talk about them a little bit later on. While I'm talking today, to kind of break up the minutia of me just blabbing the whole time, I'm going to show some photography behind the scenes footage of me making photos with my Leica SL2 and a Sigma 24mm 1.4 lens. So the first distinction between the poor artist and the rich artist in our scenario today is understanding marketing basics. And I'm not talking about going back to college and getting a marketing degree. I'm talking about just doing anything to understand marketing. When I first started this whole thing, when I was the poor artist in today's scenario, all I cared about was gaining followers. All I cared about was the number. I didn't care who they were. I didn't care what they did. I didn't care if they cared about what I was doing. All I cared about was make something that gets attention, that gets people to watch. That was the strategy. It was simple. And the reason why I was poor is because once these people found me, there was nothing for them to do. There was no more value provided outside of me just simply existing, which people don't pay you money to just exist in the world. So what I recommend to y'all is checking out any type of book about marketing. So the book I recommend is russellbrunson.com Secrets. This book was a game changer for me. It's very simple to understand and completely expanded my mind on how you can run and operate an internet business in an efficient way. So the reason I find this book so valuable is because it can bridge the gap between you, the artist, and the thing that you're making, and people who are willing to pay for the thing that makes you special and find value in you. You see, it teaches you how to create a relationship between these two things, where a lot of artists struggle with simply just putting their artwork out online, having people enjoy it, but never actually being able to make money from it. So taking everything from this book, to give you a brief example of a marketing strategy that an artist could employ, it would go like this. 1, you need to identify what your value is that you're providing to people out there. If you're a painter, your paintings are your value. Maybe you can make murals and do things like that. Maybe you can custom paint in people's living rooms. I don't know. Be creative. Maybe if you're a photographer, your value is headshots. Maybe it's art photography. Maybe it's landscape photography. Maybe it's teaching. Whatever your value is, define it. And then you have to define who your dream customer and client is. Who is going to see the value in the things that you're doing and be willing to pay for it and invest in it? Who is the person who is going to want you to paint their living room wall? Who is the person who is going to want headshots? Who's the person who's going to want to buy your landscape photography print? You need to identify who this person is and where they hang out on the internet or where they hang out in real life. And once you figure out where these people congregate, you can develop your marketing strategy to get in touch with these people. So the mistake I made early on is I didn't know who I was looking for online. I didn't know who my audience was. I was just looking for anyone who is going to pay attention to me. The problem is not all these people saw the same value in the things that I was making as I wanted them to. So what I did is redefined my strategy, and I was much more intentional about the types of people that I was going after on the internet. Notice at the beginning of the video, I mentioned what this channel is all about. It's all about creative people looking to make money, live a better life, and explore ideas. Those are the three types of people I'm looking for with this channel, and everything that I make on this channel is dedicated to those people. Now, obviously my Instagram, my Twitter, they're different social media offshoots. Some are a little more focused on art, some are a little more focused on lifestyle, but in general, everything comes back to these three core principles, and everything I make is to target these people. So when I do things like create art, or I create a course, which I'm working on right now, or I have my coaching consultations on my website, all of these different things that I provide people, someone who is finding my material online, aka my marketing, is going to find value in it and be more likely to pay for it and help me grow my business. That's a brief summary of what this is all about, but thinking in terms of how do you identify your clients and how do you market to them is step number one to growing as an artist. You don't want to just put things out because you want to get attention. You want to put intentional things out there so you can find the people who see the value in the things that you're doing. So I briefly want to thank our sponsor today, Squarespace. Squarespace has been an integral part of my photography business for years now because it allows me to be in multiple places at once. I can be out creating, making YouTube videos and content for my Instagram, and simultaneously those pieces of media bring people to my website where they can purchase things like prints, presets, or book coaching calls with me. And I have a video linked in the description down below showing you exactly how I built my website, evanranft.com. But regardless of what you're trying to sell or create as an artist, every artist needs a web presence, and Squarespace is hands down the easiest way to do it. Their drag and drop templates make it simple for someone with no web design experience to create a beautiful website, and all the tools they are constantly adding, like their scheduling, their email marketing tools, allow you to stay engaged with your customers. And on this channel, I have quite a few videos breaking down a variety of different websites that you can try for yourself depending on what your needs are. So follow one of those tutorials linked down below, and as you're following it, you can start a free trial at squarespace.com/EvanRamp, and when your site is complete and you're ready to sign up, you can use code EvanRamp to save 10% on your first purchase. That's squarespace.com/EvanRamp, start a free trial while you follow one of those videos linked down below and use code EvanRamp to get 10% off your first purchase. Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring today's video. So the second distinction between a rich artist and a poor artist is that rich artists understand that 90% of the time you are not going to be able to trade your time for money and get rich. Now, this is a really simple one. I think most people understand this concept at this point, but one great thing about being an artist and creating things is that you can be in multiple places at once if you have a good strategy like we talked about in part one of this video. If you have a marketing strategy to get people to the things that you're making, they can purchase them online. It's the beauty of the internet. You can be, on 5 different social media platforms at once, reaching 5 different sets of potential customers. Now, I know some of you hear me say that and are probably thinking to yourself, I don't want to deal with the internet. I don't want to use social media. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to book clients, get paid for it, and live a good life. And I totally understand where you're coming from. This is how a lot of people want to operate. It's why people get corporate jobs. It's stable, it's secure, and as humans, this is one of our hierarchy of needs. We all want stability, we all want security. So if you are someone who wants to trade your time for money, which I'm not going to on you for doing, you need to understand that your skills have to be in that 10% of people who can charge a lot more money for your services because your services are scarce. I've talked about this before in the 100K photography formula video that I have on this channel. If you are someone who is so good at your job that you can demand a certain price for that service because it can't be found anywhere else, you now have the ability to get rich off of your time. But at the end of the day, we all have a finite amount of time in our life. So even if you're in that 10%, it might be good to consider a way to incorporate some type of internet marketing or something into your business. So while you are out creating and selling that time for money, which like I said is totally fine, you can potentially have people purchasing your knowledge or purchasing your skills online as well. So essentially you get to double dip if you do it that way. But I just want to make sure everyone understands that trading your time for money most of the time is not going to be an effective way way to make the type of money that you want to make. I know this firsthand because I was working 10 hours a week doing social media photography work for a store here in Buckhead. And while I gained a lot of experience with that job, it ate up so much of my time that I wasn't able to really focus on the stuff I talked about in part one of this video. I wasn't able to focus on the marketing strategy behind my social media. I didn't have time to read books. I didn't have time to strategize and really put my all into what I actually wanted to do. And the irony is, after 5 years of working hourly and struggling financially, the year that I stopped doing that was the year that I made the most money. And then the next year, I made even more money than that. And the reason I think this happened is because I was finally able to allocate my most valuable resource, my time, into parts of my business that had way more potential than me getting paid hourly for that job. So the third distinction between a rich artist and a poor artist is that rich artists understand that cash flow in a business is everything. It's literally the lifeblood of your business. It's the energy behind everything that you're trying to accomplish. And rich artists understand that every time you take cash and money out of your business, you are taking life and energy out of it and pushing it back to where it was in the past, and you're not helping it move forward. And I learned this lesson the hard way in 2019. Essentially, I wanted to buy this house, and to buy the house, to get the down payment for it, I had to take essentially all the capital out of my business. After I bought this house, I was back to square one. It was like I literally had started YouTube and social media all over again, because you obviously can't take cash out of your house when it's invested into it. In the long run, it all worked out because this house was a good investment like I thought it was going to be. It appreciated a lot, but that's besides the point, because it dramatically negatively impacted my business, because I could have taken that money and reinvested it into things like help, an assistant or someone to edit my videos for me, someone to help me with merch. I could have increased the quality on the merch and done bigger orders and built that brand. I could have invested in equipment, invested in travel to make the videos better. And it wasn't until about a year later that I read about this concept called stick or twist, where I realized the big mistake that I made. Essentially, we're constantly faced with these decisions in life of sticking or twisting. And what this means is staying in the place that you're in and continuing to invest time and energy either into yourself, into the things that you're trying to create, into your future, or twisting is essentially cashing out, getting the satisfaction now, not saving any more money to get the car you want, just buying the car you can afford, not saving any more money to get the house you want, buying the house you can afford, not saving any more money in your business so you can travel, cashing out, and buying a house. Like me, I twisted. It was a big mistake because it sent my business back to square one, and it's something that to this day I think I'm still recovering from. So the fourth and final distinction between a rich artist and a poor artist is that rich artists pay attention to the data. And this can be applied to literally every single part of your business. It starts with your finances. Back in the day, I had no idea where my money was coming from, where it was going. I would do my taxes at the end of the year and be shocked about how much money I owed or how much money I made. I just never knew. It was just always like a roll of the dice with me. Who cares? Let's just see what happens, which is cool when you're maybe 22 years old, 23 years old, but it's not cool when you're 27 years old. So what I started doing is I started tracking everything. I have QuickBooks now. I actually have a net worth spreadsheet, which has been incredibly depressing for the last month with the markets doing what they're doing. But I pay attention to everything because now I can see where is money going. I can see my investment accounts going down. I can see money coming out of certain accounts and me wondering, how come $2,000 left that account last month? I don't feel like I spent $2,000. Or I can see credit card balances and see, why did that jump up $1,000 last month when the last 2 months there was only $250 added to it? Whatever the case may be, when you see these numbers every single day and you track this data, you start getting a bigger picture of how money is being spent, where it's coming from, where it's going, and if you're actually growing or not. And this concept of data goes so much farther beyond your finances. It goes into every single part of your business. Maybe you're someone who does a lot of social media marketing. You can start looking at what pieces of content perform perform well, what pieces of content don't perform well, which pieces of content make more money for your business, which ones don't, which ones are people subscribing to, which videos are people clicking away from after 30 seconds, which videos are people not. You can look at all this data and continue to refine whatever it is that you're trying to do online and make your strategy more effective. Essentially, it's like creating a statue. You're just chipping away at it slowly over time to create this perfect masterpiece, being your internet business and marketing strategy. This can apply to your e-commerce and looking at your conversion rate, or looking at how many people are signing up for your newsletter, or how many people are opening your newsletters. And here's another reality to this whole thing. If you are actually paying attention to the data behind anything you're doing and you're tracking your finances, you are doing better than 90% of people out there. Most people don't give a shit about any of this stuff. They're just flying by the seat of their pants. So if you can be someone who is actually diving into your analytics and trying to pay attention to how things are actually working with all the technology and information we have at our disposal, thanks to the internet, you are going to be ahead of a lot of your competition. So that's everything I want to talk about today. Rich artists versus poor artists. If you enjoyed the video today, do me a solid, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment if you found this video helpful. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm if you do both of those things. And remember, you can go to evanramp.com and get the preset module for any of the looks that you saw on the photos in today's video. The formulas are listed down in the bottom left. You download the preset module and you can get the exact formula for edits done in this video and any future videos on the channel as well. You're all the truth. See you next time.